It's the fourth round's worth of racing, and everybody is sat and they are ready. This is where you get the truest understanding of where drivers have to try and apply their skills. We will head to two circuits with two very similar designs out there overall, both using the natural topography of the land, the hills, the elevation changes and the cambers that come along to make its progress. But we will start in the south of France with, of course, the circuit Paul Ricard's baby brother. This is the Circuit de Lédenon, and this is the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. We start with the Club Series here with you on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Soon to be alongside me in the commentary booth today will be Justin Prince. Adam Lindgren jumps in behind the director's chair. He is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But Lédenon is a circuit that when people first saw it on the iRacing service, not many people had the true grip of understanding to know what makes this circuit a great place to start out and a super place to own your skills. Let's take a look with our GSRC track guide and see what makes this circuit one to be tested.
Welcome to Circuit de Lédenon. Located in the south of France close to the Mediterranean, this is a relatively small circuit that packs a lot of action. The elevation changes are dramatic, and with 15 corners over a mere 2 miles, or about 3 kilometers, you're never not busy behind the wheel. GT cars, touring cars, and lower-level open-wheelers are the main staple of this place, with it being just a bit too short and twisty for anything bigger. The opening of the lap gives a false impression of what you're about to tackle. A long front straight blends into a 3-apex sweeping left-hander called triple gauche. But from there on, you're fighting your way around a myriad of hairpins that guide you up and down a natural valley that cuts through the circuit. Perhaps the most frightening is Cuvette, in which you pick up speed plunging down a steep hill and slaloming between a series of kinks. It all culminates in the left-hander forcing you to stomp the brakes while trying to line it up correctly. Then, on the way out, if you get a poor exit, the monstrous climb up to the finish line punishes you severely. Having been built, owned, and run by the same family since it was created in the early 70s, there's nothing quite like it elsewhere in the country, and maybe even the world. No wonder it continues to draw French fans in and year out.
This has been a circuit that has remained completely unchanged since its inception all the way back in the 1970s. But this less than 2-mile circuit, 3.15 kilometers, feels a lot longer here in Occitanie in France. It is a circuit that has a lot of elevation change to really test the drivers. The opening to the lap, the triple gauche, very similar to the likes of Homestead Miami's road course in a way that you've got to attack that opening section. The run onto the brakes to Pont, up to La Carriasse, and then down the hill through La Comelle and into Camion. Le Cavalet is always going to be a difficult corner to get right, so too La Servie, and then of course that run down the hill to La Curvette and the very aggressive ride up to the end of the lap, so similar to that of the Knock Hill circuit. It is one where drivers are going to have to be very alert on how much speed they carry every single time, and too wide might just be a big shocker for those who are out there and racing. Does have that feel where overtaking is going to be a little bit earned. The straights aren't as long as maybe some of the other circuits that you see out there over the course of the calendar, but this has been a calendar that has been well battled for, and we will get an understanding of where the drivers sit heading into today's racing with the Club Series. Now, the top 10 here in this series have the understanding, and a very important understanding at that, to jump up right to the very top in this series. This is where they understand that if they want to get to the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, at the end of racing, that's going to be huge for them. That's how the overall championship lines up at the moment in terms of the MX5 World Sim Series, with Jaime Dalmases and Adnan Grozdanic up at the top, Jason Cooper third, Lars Fischer fourth, and Yuanji Lin jumping up inside that top five, with Kandun Hibbett, Victor Gonzalez, Alberto Blanco, Jacques Visi, and Nuno Ferreira making up the top 10 as they go through. But here in the Club Cup, it has been one driver and one driver only who has been at the front of the field, and that is Christian Bisserov, who has got 3 out of 3 with the way that he's been driving. Luis Suarez is his nearest challenger, and he's dealing with Michael Elliott, with Sander Vara fourth and Stefan Alderding in 5th position, 4th and 5th tied on points. That then leads to Damian McMullen and Mackenzie Mann, and a big frantic scrap for the top 10 with Alexander Nikolov and Rene Zegelar in 9th position. Thomas Martinez makes up that 10th position. They will be in rows of 4, or in positions I should say, 41 to 50 in Laguna Seca, should it find itself in that way. When it comes to the Nations Cup overall, it is Spain who have themselves in control, but Germany have made a great launch up through the order. They find themselves second, with the United Kingdom and the United States third and fourth. The Netherlands find themselves fifth, with France in sixth, Brazil and Belgium 7th and 8th places. Bulgaria making a stand in 9th position. They are now ahead of Sweden, who round out the top 10 in that. And in terms of the Club Cup, it is going to be a little bit more different in terms of the points. Bulgaria and the Netherlands looking pretty good up there at the top of the order, and everyone knows that those points are going to be important to count between now and the end of the season. The likes, of course, there of the United States and Ireland back there in P9, with work to do to try and bring back in a little bit more pointage to what they are standing on. Of course, when it comes to the Club Cup standings, Negative Delta by Buellers have been the team to beat, with Bisserov absolutely flying when you've got the likes of SDC Spirit 14 Racing, Positive Delta Motorsports there. 1P trying to make some progress out there. They don't have the help of Tom Daly in this series, who would have been their biggest star out there. And of course, you've got Rosso Esports, SimTech Racing, and DM Sim Racing, which are looking to make some good progress. In the MX5 World Sim Series, Zenith Esport have control of that, but it is a 3-team championship at the moment, it feels, with 5-Star Motorsport giving the biggest chase, and the MX5 Deep Dive team in third overall. SimRace Sweden Esports find themselves fourth, ahead of Optical Racing. Sweat Sim Racing find themselves sixth, with BB1 Sim Racing seventh. Negative Delta by SimGear.bg are in eighth, ahead of the Digitrack Sim Racing team and SDC Spirit 14 Racing, rounding out the top 10 overall. Now, this is round 4 of 10. There are 3 races here tonight with you on the Global Sim Racing Channel. This is the first of the 3. All the drivers are racing in seeded splits. They did their qualifying, their pre-qualifying 1 week ago today, as they were looking to push to put their best 4 laps together on the board to get themselves here, and there are bonus points for that. So this is the Club Cup, and this is the free-to-enter series. It's 25 minutes racing, and it's a fixed setup. That fixed setup is the iRacing MX5 baseline, so everyone's got an understanding of how to go, and you've got the spare car. It's available for all races that are there and are in unlimited supply, so there should be no finish out the race in terms of what everyone is hoping for. We are heading towards the ends of practice and the start of qualifying, which we are currently on, and with 6.5 minutes to go, this is a little look there. That is Christian Bisserov setting the fastest time overall with his first run. Kalle Rantanen, a full 2.3 seconds behind, is a bit surprising. Weston moving up then to second fastest. Temperature there pretty ideal. They run in fixed temperature conditions out there, so that really does help them out as we watch Luis Suarez rushing through the middle part of the lap, rushing through to this beautiful up the hill right-hander over at de Cavalier, and then looking up towards La Servie, which is this beautiful 11th turn on the circuit, top of the hill, and trying to really jump on down. You've got the likes of Schubert who is in second position right now. Martinez has put a good qualifying time in on the board, goes third fastest, and you're really sensing that counter steer. It's a very tight final run forward. Those tyres are very intimidating on the inside, very easy to run wide off the exit, and the long haul up the hill towards the line. And we'll see what sort of time this is by Suarez over the stripe. And it looks like that one goes second fastest there, just about 0.4 of a second adrift of Christian Bisserov, who is proving that he is the fastest driver in this club series. There is Laurens Den Ouden, then the Dutchman, really trying to pilot that Sweat Sim Racing car down the hill, looking for every inch of circuit possible into La Curvette. The final corner out on track, up the hill, and watch the straight line then, trying to hug that DRS board on the left-hand side, of course, because these are Miatas, they will not have DRS available to them, and over the line. Den Ouden with a 35 flat. That'll be good enough to go fourth fastest with that time, and the 027 car will be looking for a really good showcase. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these drivers is the numbers that they are running here today. If they have a number on the side of their car, for example, 001, that means you are P1 overall in the championship. If you've got 037 like Kieros has, or 039 like Amanula Bacchus, who we see in the Positive Delta Motorsport car at this moment in time, he is currently 39th in the championship with a lot of work to do to jump up forward and gain the points required. The good news is going to be, as he dives to the pit lane and says, that's not going to work for me, is that it's best 7 out of 10 results, which will book your place in qualifying, which means if you didn't have the best of round 1s or round 2s or even round 3s, you've still got an opportunity here from round 4 onwards to try and book a place in the very top annals of this series. The Ayrton Senna helmet on with Luis Suarez here, diving it about, then through the Cervi and looking back down the hill as this track folds upon itself here again and again, and very similar to Autopolis here, this final section of circuit here, as you look to try and dive in through this section, and Suarez will then pull over to one of the very tight pit entries here in iRacing and into the pits, meaning there is going to be no improvement on that lap. Now here is Matthias Race, who is hoping that he is going to jump up in the number 18 car, independent driver in that beautifully striking colored Miata, making that run over towards the line. 10th fastest currently. That is a 34.6 that has gone down on the board, and that might have been enough to have jumped up to second, but I don't know whether he's either A, out of laps, or B, had an invalidation over the course of that lap, just trying to get some practice in. So he is that 18 car with the blank space in 10th position. He is someone to definitely keep an eye out on. Sandavara hasn't put a time in yet. He's got the 004 car. So this is, I would say, an alarm bell ringing as he really attacks down the hill and back up again at Camion and De Cavalier, and now back up that rise. You can see second gear really deciding whether he wants that third gear or not. Middle of the corner shift is one of the most difficult bits of driving that you have to do, and someone like Sandavara, the league owner of course here of the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, has a lot of pressure on him to remain inside that top 10, and descending down the hill, first gear, really clobbering the curb on the outside, can't afford to run wide off the exit. A massive correction of oversteer, taking too much momentum through there, is going to compromise that lap somewhat, but we'll see what sort of time it is over the line. It's a 135.7, then that gets itself through 1.2 off the pace, but I wonder if there was an off track somewhere, because that one will also not count in the dying embers here of qualifying. Michael Elliott out there at the moment is hoping for his run to go forward, so that's going to be a real question that will be asked. Elliott then down the hill, back up again, hoping that his lap time is going to net him close. He's third overall in the championship. He knows that 1 and 2 are 1 and 2 in qualifying as it stands. Elliott making an absolute beeline for the line, puts a 34.6 down and moves on to the front row and upsets Luis Suarez with that time. Bisserov will have company here today at Lédenon before our 2 races at the Circuit Park Zandvoort, but what a big lap that is by context. Let's take ourselves over to the Simify starting grid for today's action here around this wonderful Lédenon circuit. Simify is your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and mix and match for the best way to get your leg up on the competition. Simify ships worldwide, and they also have 2 sim racing centers, one in Madrid, one in Barcelona, dedicated to improving your sim racing skills. Head to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. Front of the grid is Christian Bisserov with Michael Elliott alongside. Luis Suarez and João Schubert will be on row 2 with Laurens Den Alden and Thomas Martinez, the 5th and 6th. Eric Quieros and Tom Weston make up row 4 with Andre Luigi and René Zegeler rounding out the top 10 of the grid. Row 6 houses Mateus Reis and Bruno Lisboa with Armanula Bacchus and Alvaro Rodriguez on row 7. Anton Simeonov and Kalir Antonen bring a lot of experience to row 8 with Damian McMullen surprisingly off the pace in 17th and Bruno Albino in 18th position. It's Arturo Davila and David Balaj who make up the 20th positions out there with Pedro Marimon and Edward Gross, Carlos Horn and Sandoval. A lot of drivers unable to set times, including Stephen Orrell, David Mitchell, Brett Ride, Javier Sequendez and Sergio Duarte, making up 29 drivers then here today at Lédenon who could take to the starting grid. But these conditions are ideal. These are the same conditions that they will drive with all season long. Air temp of 78 Fahrenheit, track temp of 81 Fahrenheit, and wind hardly a gust at 2 miles an hour from the north. Relative humidity of 45% here, as these drivers will have 2 minutes to grid up or start from that place known as pit lane. But here is the opportunity then as the lights go out and we get underway. So 6th position not taking to the starting grid then as they rush towards Triple Ghost then to start their racing with 25 minutes. Bisserov will be unchallenged then through the front, but some great progress in then from 4th position as those moves really do start to make their progress. And immediately there's troubles as one of the SDC Spirit 14 cars ends up going around in the opening section. There's Carlos Horn. It was the car in front of him right now that found himself in trouble as they dive on down the hill, looking towards Virage DuPont and back up the hill. Michael Elliott will immediately try and be aggressive here in the early stages of this race, trying to force the rhythm away from Christian Bisserov. Suarez trying to pick a pocket down the inside, is not going to find it in these early stages, but flicking through the left hand and one of the biggest breaks down the hill. You've got so much to try and keep in mind here, and some will say that this section of circuit has inspired the likes, of course, of that run through. That's a Darius Scary car, or steam-powered as it is now. Stephen Orrell, not where he wanted to be, now finding himself all the way further back, and it looks like troubles for Martinez then in this race, who is only just now going to be able to get out on circuit and racing, which means that he will drop down to the back of the field as he looks to try and recover back forward. But looking down now through the final section, La Curvette, and back up the hill. There goes Michael Elliott, turned around as he goes through. I think that might have been too much power. It's going to be an 1,000,000-point turn as he Austin powers his way back onto the circuit, and he is out of the championship battle here today at Lédenon in just the blink of an eye. There's Laurens Den Alden, who will profiteer off of that and up into 4th position, but disaster on the opening lap right at the end for Michael Elliott, who was proving to be a thorn in Bisserov's side. Could he have just held that pace as they go through and charge? There is Bisserov, who now has Luis Suarez for company. No track limits to worry about today. It's an infinite point system on that, so they can run as wide as they want so long as they don't pick up the slowdown penalty. You can see Bisserov is really struggling here to keep it between the white lines, and that is allowing Luis Suarez, the Portuguese driver, to attack down the hill here towards turn 8 at Camion. Now at turn 9, where you get this massive difference maker back up the hill once more at De Cavalet, and you really get the sense here that Bisserov is not running away with it as he has done in previous races this season. Den Ouden happy just to sit on the back here, and he runs a little bit wide. Then it's a very aggressive line taken by João Schubert, and his two teammates behind of Quieros and Race are both going to want to try and get in here, and both here for Turismo Racing want to find as much as they can. Now, middle of the pack is just as interesting. This is Bruno Lisboa right now, who sees Armanula Bacchus just in front of him. Heavy attack to the inside of the negative Delta car, trying to get through. You've got Sandavara, who's in the mix, and they will race too wide, too deep, up the hill, and you might make it 3. They might make it 4. Why not? Here towards Triple Coach. This could end in disaster. Little bit of contact there, and there is the disaster. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Lisboa, Vara, and Co. all getting themselves caught out, and massive, massive damage there. We'll take a look on the GSRC replay at this one, because that was big as they went through, and that is a look at a very, very damaged car. There's the spin, and we'll take a very important gander at this, and it's 4 into 1 that doesn't go. Lisboa's got to try and find the right place. No one wants to back down. Sandavara down the inside, and then catches Armanula Bacchus in the melee as well. They were beating panels down the straight, and nobody wanted to go in for it. Question is, nobody wanted to yield. Who did? And that means we have one driver down needing a fast repair and looking to really try and battle back through. But back up to the front of the field, there is Christian Bisserov, who runs incredibly wide there through at turn number 11 at La Survie, and this will allow Suarez a chance to attack. Very difficult to pick the angle, so you're looking for drive off of the exit. Sees the white, the green, and the red of the Bulgarian flag just in front, and he knows that there's going to be no yellow helmet syndrome for the driver in front in car number 001, who leads this championship quite comfortably at this moment in time. Suarez trying to get an angle here, and with the fast lap to boot will help, but Matthias Reis will take that away. Third part of the triple ghost, he has worked away down the inside. Luis Suarez now will scramble it about into Virage DuPont and try and find that, but he's on the wrong side of the road. But can he get drive off this exit, or does he leave himself open to João Schubert's attack? Schubert can't get enough, and all of a sudden then, it is as you were, a 6-pack challenge at the front of this field as Race makes the move on Quieros and moves up then into 5th place. This is Matthias Race, who is now in that 5th place here and looking at these 4 in front, who are being very well behaved. We've seen it spread out in a number of races here over the course of this season, but Laurence Den Ouden and co, they're all waiting for the chance to strike, and a track like this really does prioritise car placement. That's where you're going to win it here today. Bisserov again taking that wide line, missing the apex, taking it late, prioritising exits. Suarez is really trying to open up an entry point here, really trying to force his way through with a crowbar to make this position. That's a car off the road. That's Tom Weston here, so he'll fall outside the top 10 then with that. Behind McMullen, Luigi and co. Zegalar, he'll lose the place. He might lose one here to Sequendez. Down the inside, it's going to get close, and up the hill, Tom Weston, I think is just going to about lose out here to Javier Sequendez here as they beat a couple panels together as they now look to charge. I'll tell you what, there have been some amazing gains up through the field. Damien McMullen, for example, from 17th, is already up into P8. Triple ghost left-hander, you feel, favours Tom Weston, but look at the bravery around the outside. Can he hold the line to get the cut back through the third part of the triple ghost? Oh, and there's just enough room there between them. That's brilliantly done. There's the contact from behind from Anton Simeonov. Secondary contact. Both of them go hard into the barriers on the inside towards Virage DuPont, and both of their races will end in tears. Just like that. And there are the 3 teammates then of Turismo Racing, 4th, 5th and 6th, and all of a sudden that gap of 1.3 is Den Ouden dives down the inside. So Suarez might lose out here as Denalden tries to make the move. Bisserov, we talk about the rubber band. 1.5 second slipstream, it snaps, you're not going to catch him again. They're now at 1.1, trying to scrap amongst themselves. Denalden really pointy on the brakes, trying to get to that inside line here with Luis Suarez. Suarez just about able to hold, but the gap now at 1.3, 1.2. They're going to have to be very brave, and the issue that Laurens Denalden has had here in this race is he's not been able to clear that move. Race up the hill will make the pass on João Schubert for position. That one will be now for P4 for a driver who's looking through. You can just see in the back mirror there, he had to go all the way to the inside, and they just about make it together. When you got 3 teammates like this, you've got to work together against the 3 that's in front of you. You feel like they are going to be the most coordinated out of this group to go out there and attack. Race, Schubert, and Kierov, all there, all pushing, all hoping that they can catch, and they have done here. Denalden and Suarez, and looking as well at others out there. Sandavara has kept it going. He's now in 18th, but this is his teammate Pedro Marimon. Mistake from Armanula Bacchus, who gets well out of it there after that massive tank slapper then through triple gauche, and that is going to allow through the move. And here is Carlos Horn, hoping for his pass on the very experienced Kalle Rantanen for positive Delta. Here is someone who knows where to place the car, leaving just enough room as they come out then of turn 11 and rush. Oh, sorry, no, this is going to be through turn 6 out there. So that was up at the Carreras, down the hill now towards 8 and 9, which of course is Carlos Horn having a huge kick of oversteer out of De Cavalier, and you get that negative G, and you really get that push back up the hill. Very similar to compression, for example, that you find at the Nürburgring. And Carlos Horn here in 13th and 12th. Look at this. This is going to be around the outside. That's the recovering Michael Elliott going back through. So positive Delta finding some moves here. Michael Elliott trying to scrap for every point he can get his hands on, and he is managing that fantastically. But watch out, there's Matthias Race, hoping that he has got himself his way through. Suarez has found the back. There's the wide line taken as Bisserov, so defensive, turn across the nose. He goes across the nose of Denalden. Round goes Matthias Race, and it'll be João Schubert now moving up into the podium. You cannot write who's going to be in the picture here. We'll take another look at this, because that could have been all sorts of scary there as they went through. Denalden was desperate to get to the back then of Luis Suarez in the 3-wide racing car in second, and the question being, wide he went, too late to cover the nose. Oh, you really don't feel like Laurens Denalden had much room to go there on that outside. The track was being taken away all the time by Matthias Race, who was using the fact that he had just stolen the inside line as an advantage, and 2 into 1 does not mix, and as such he went around. Race though will be looking to try and recover through with the likes of Andre Luigi, that he is trying to make some moves on, make that 4 Turismo cars in a row and 2 lots of 2, and he'll get past Luigi for position, and he will try and leapfrog his way forward. Back with Luis Suarez though, in second. Mistake from Bisserov, how rare is that, as he will now slide up the hill and into the race lead. Christian Bisserov does not make mistakes often. That's the first real one we've seen this season, and it will cost him the race lead here with 13 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this race. João Schubert here sits and waits in third, looking around, thinking, well, if mistakes are coming along from Bisserov, Suarez is going to now take the mantle up at the front. What can I gain out of this as car 33 looking to get inside the top 10? Oh, look at Virage Dupont down the inside, trying to pick the pocket of Suarez, and every time Bisserov tries to be the artful dodger, there still looks down the hill though as they go through, because you've got the likes of Zegala, you've got the likes of Sequendez here, and now for the race lead, Bisserov is finding himself back through. Suarez can't procure the angle he wants. The big run down the hill then towards the camion, and it will be Bisserov back in control now as they head through once again here through this left of Du Cavalier to now make that rise towards the final sector of this lap. Brilliant bit of oversteer. Suarez is on the ragged edge trying to keep Bisserov honest, and these drivers are throwing the kitchen sink at each other, and that is a little bit of an issue there for Javier Sequendez in the Makisa Motorsport car, and he will drop the places to Elliott and Horn. So that puts Michael Elliott back inside the top 10 here. That will be huge in terms of the race, but Suarez again up the hill, looking for the run here towards the triple gauge. This is going to be where you've got to set it up. It's the longest straight, and it's uphill, so that slipstream's going to be so important, carrying that momentum down to a 10th and a half. Hoping that this move's going to find, and it's so narrow, these lines. You can see the trail breaking, just the tiniest taps going through from Bisserov, and he's not going to have much drive off the exit. That might stymie the run of Luis Suarez down the hill towards Virage DuPont, and now trying to take a line that maximizes this section. Very similar to the Hugenholz. Wide goes Suarez. Schubert's trying to look, and you got Kieros in there as well. 4 to the floor as they hit the hill right now, up at the top of the plateau at La Carreras, and back down the hill. They will now start to search through turn 7 here, which is known as La Corelle, and in towards the Camion, and now Du Cavalet. Suarez, oh, it's contact! There's contact for Luis Suarez. He had to really scramble to save the car. The gap now up to 1.2. Schubert loses out to Kieros on the outside, and they might make a Teresimo sandwich as they run through. Rule 1 of sim racing, don't hit your teammate. Round points, Zhao Schubert. Through goes the likes of Matthias Race and Luigi and McMullen and Den Ouden. And it's been a game of who cannot make a mistake, and that is as big as it comes along. He almost gets shunted from behind there. Huge save by Luis Suarez. I'm not sure Zhao Schubert saw it coming. Then he searches to the inside, and all of a sudden he runs a little bit wide, and the hubris comes into play, and round goes Zhao Schubert from a podium position to nearly outside of the top 10 here in this Club Series race. And there is still Eric Kieros trying to keep Luis Suarez in check. That gap now at 1.4 has Bisserov just been given his license to run away with 10 minutes to go here at the Circuit de Lédenon in the 4th round of the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, the Club Series here. The first of 3 races, big lunge down the inside by Kieros. He couldn't wait any longer. And just like that, Luis Suarez will fall back into 3rd position, with Kieros now in the 2nd place, and knowing that it is crucial, it is tantamount that he catches Christian Bisserov, who has been given that license to run and just feel free for the first time in this race. This beautiful French, South France countryside that they ride themselves through at this point. They are having a great run, and Damien McMullen from 17th to 6th, up 11 spaces, trying to hold back the recovery of Laurence Den Ouden. Here, the Irishman McMullen, who wears his heart on his sleeve, absolutely loves being out here and racing, and he's proving once again how much he wants this. Schubert chasing down René Zegelar in the SRL car, then for 8th and 9th, down the hill and back up it again at La Curvette, and you really can open a gap. That looks like that's Weston, who's gone around again up at the top of the hill, would have been at turn 11, so once more, there's a little bit of drama, but McMullen holding on the outside of Triple Gauche is difficult. Den Ouden sweeps on through, and that is as easy of a pass as you're going to find. There are chances to try and gather that back up and find that through, but it looks like there's a little bit of smoke, and without smoke there's fire, and just like that, there's going to be a little bit of lap traffic there. Who's going to fall back and drop the position then into that section? There's some of the SDC cars going at it side by side. Vara and Marimon, they're hoping here that they can gain a little bit of places, but Sander will find his way through on the slightly slower Pedro Marimon in terms of the Spirit 14 team, and knows that there is still a long way to go to gather that back up. But keep an eye on the front of that field, because Eric Kieros has been putting on a stellar showcase, clawing back that 2-second gap, and you look at it, it's at 7/10 of a second, and Kieros, just as we say that, makes a small mistake trying to carry that speed up there at De La Serive, and then try and get through. Gathers it back with that different line, so you can take it many different ways, but he's really trying to prioritize these exits of the corners. Bisserov is not going to get his reprieve here today. How vital it is going to be that he is caught. There is Luis Suarez, who finds himself sat in third place, still with a shot of victory, but he might need to use Eric Quiros, the Brazilian, as a pick to get through, searching for that line. Taking that shallow line would have scared Quiros in the mirrors, trying to get as wide as he possibly can. The first rule that you've got of sim racing. Now through DuPont and looking to try and charge up the hill. Behind that, there is the SRL car of Zegela, who's just lost out to Xiao Schubert for position. The pig is starting to fly at this moment as Schubert knows that it's about 3 seconds to the group in front. A bit of Rosso traffic just in front to try and navigate around. And don't count out third position in this race, because there is still only a 2-second gap over to Mateus Race in that 4th place. But up the hill once again through to Cavalier. This is Christian Bisserov, number 1. He has failed in no races this season to not win. He has been that lightning quick, that good, that invincible, but he has, for the first time this series, looked like there is some chinks, looked like there is a way to defeat him. And Eric Quiros here, car 037, is looking to be that driver who's going to make his patience pay as they now charge up with under 6 minutes to go. These lap times are flying away, thick and fast, as they now look to try and go through. And Suarez here is at risk of getting dropped here by these 2 drivers into triple gauche. Once more, Eric Quiros is hoping that he can find the magic formula that gets him up that extra position. You search around at Christian Bisserov and you think, wow, what's he got in the back pocket to defend here? Just about enough of a line. He is using all of the road here as Bisserov, and looking very loose while doing so. Wide again off of the exit, up the hill to Lacadianas. Turn 6, you got a real chance here, but again, he defends heavily on that inside, and that might open Quiros to attack off of the exit here, but that extent of running wide on the outside just about covers it. Through the kink left at turn 7, Lacordiel down the hill through Camion, starting to slide a little bit, having to use a little bit of that on camber to try and pivot through. Up the hill, such an extreme gradient, up to try and find that look. And Quiros here looking for the plateau braking zone here that runs through turn 10 and then turn 11. Oh, full opposite look, trying to save it. He's just about going to manage it here. Wide goes Bisserov. Suarez will sweep down the inside, and Eric Quiros now can't hold the challenge, and it's Suarez's mantle once again to chase down Christian Bisserov. His closest rival in the championship is right behind him at this point, and that's a mistake potentially out there for Race, and that will allow Den Ouden maybe the chance then, who's dropping back then. So that'll be Luigi who goes through. So Laurence Den Ouden with a mistake puts then Andre Luigi up into P5 with 4 minutes to go. So some late changes coming through. Again, that aggressive line showing once more by Luis Suarez. He's hoping for something, but look at the lack of drive he gets down the hill through Virage DuPont now. He will charge. Quiros, I think, is going to go through. How wide do you want it, Christian? Up at the front. This will allow everybody close. He is pushing so hard to keep everyone behind. Takes a really shallow line through the corner. Watch Quiros staying narrow. He's wanting to go through. And Mateus Race, who about 5 minutes ago was 4 seconds off the lead, finds himself 1 second back and has an almighty chance of picking up what he needs. Down the hill once again at De Cavalier, and now you get the sense that Luis Suarez is trying to mastermind his overtake. He knows how important it is with these cars, very different in terms of what they have underneath them compared to a normal road-going MX5, that it's got to be all about the balance and getting that momentum to go through, knowing that they're going to be only at best 140 miles an hour on this circuit, And now Bisserov having to be really, really coy with the way that he plays this, and everyone else playing go fish behind him is hoping that this is going to be the race that gets themselves through. There's a little bit of damage on that front from Luis Suarez that might be compromising the front line. Everybody scrambling to the outside trying to find a lane. Kieroth can't quite get there, but remember how nice and narrow you want to be if you're Luis Suarez, and that's why the line goes narrow from Bisserov, because he's trying to cover off that run, and now off the exit. Open it up left, open it up right. He is super hard on the defence then, down the hill at Virage du Pont, and now the inside almost opens up for Matthias Reis, trying to steal the podium off his own teammate Eric Kieroth for position. Up the hill at Le Carrieras. And again, a little search to the inside from Kieroth. This is incredible stuff from everybody here. And now there's the side-by-side. Now there's the look down the hill, but you're on the wrong side of the road, Eric, if you want to make this pass happen. And it's covered beautifully by Luis Suarez. And suddenly the door opens and Reis has turned around Kieroth. So now more drama for Turismo as they have just taken each other out of the running here for the victory. It is going to be hand-to-hand combat between Bisserov and Suarez. It'll be mano a mano. And now you got Vara, you got Marimon and Carlos Horn here trying to get in 13th, 14th and 15th. So you still got a little bit further back in the pack. Battles everywhere to try and keep an eye out on. But we are nearing those final stages of the race. A big look up the inside, trying to find that move. And ultimately, it's not there from Carlos Horn. But that gap suddenly at the front sits at 8/8 of a second. This one will be the final lap, and it will have to take some magic from Luis Suarez to catch Christian Bisserov and do the one thing that everybody has struggled to but want do today. That is pass him out on circuit. Suarez will give everything he can through Virage du Pont, knowing that Bisserov loves to extend the circuit as much as he can, a little bit neater through the lines, and he has been in recent races as he's gone through, but now looking to really dive on through the corners. Christian Bisserov right now at the top of the hill has 0.6 of a second. You'd feel that's safe at the moment, but Suarez still has a chance, and this is a slingshot style corner where it can go wrong if you just make one small mistake. He's really trying to get the exit here as Suarez, and he pulls that gap down within half a second. Christian Bisserov then through turn 10 will look up at the top of the hill at La Survie, and he has a double take through the corner. How aggressive is Suarez through there? Will he get a slowdown for how aggressive he was? No, he doesn't, but he's going to run out of time because they'll get down to the final corner, rushing down the hill like a valley and then back up it. Bisserov was not at his best today, but he did just enough, and that was to cover everybody else off, and that is big for Bisserov. It is 4 in a row, and the club series is his to take. Sensational stuff. We are going to get some brilliant racing towards the line as well, as it looks like Andre Luigi is just going to hold off Damian McMullen here for that 6th place heading over the line. Some great racing through. The Turismo teammates will be looking around at each other thinking they had a real golden opportunity to win this race today, and their infighting cost them overall. Some magic as they've all gone through with what has been some simply incredible results. Christian Bisserov takes it by 0.4 of a second over Luis Suarez, with Matthias Reis, the final driver, on the podium for Turismo. He did have contact though with Eric Kieroth, which puts him in 4th, with Lorenz Denard in 5th and Andre Luigi in 6th position. Damian McMullen and João Schubert will make up 7th and 8th, with René Zegelar 9th and Javier Sequendez rounding out the top 10 in this field. Michael Elliott would recover to 11th, with David Mitchell 12th, just ahead of Sandavara in 13th. So not a great day for those inside the top 10, with Carlos Horn 14th and Pedro Marimon in 15th position. Kalle Lantanen and Brett Ride would be 16th and 17th, with Tom Weston having a number of spins today to fall back to 18th. Alvaro Rodriguez and Armanula Bacchus would make up the top 20. All looking at the lead lap, it was going to be a case of 25 who would get there. Bruno Albino, Sergio Duarte, David Balaj, and Thomas Martinez, along with Arturo Davila, the Mexican driver, in 25th. Two drivers a lap down, Bruno Lisboa and Anton Simonov, with Stephen Orrell in 28th position. Right, we're going to step aside for just one moment here with the Global SimRacing Channel. We will take a jump away from the Circuit de Lédenon. When we come back, we will be at the Dutch dunes of Zandvoort. From the Mediterranean, we head up towards the North Sea. We head up towards an absolutely incredible piece of racetrack here, and one which is so synonymous with racing history. This is the Circuit Park Zandvoort, brand new and revitalized, as we get ourselves ready for Division 2 action here of the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. We switch from club to the world, and as we know, this is where the bubble is found. The best racers out there are looking for a top 40 spot, and it will be here where that racing happens, and the battle for the top 40 often finds itself at the pointy end of this race. But what makes this circuit one of the most unique out there in the world, because this is a European road course with all the American feel in the world. Let's get an understanding here with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Circuit Park Zandvoort. This legendary track directly to the west of Amsterdam and a stone's throw away from the shore of the North Sea has seen more than half a century of racing history. After a brief period of being closed, it was rebuilt in the 90s and then given a huge facelift in 2019 to see the return of Formula One. It retained its 4.25-kilometer length and 14 turns for the Grand Prix course, while the other three versions also stayed mostly unchanged. But the biggest adaptations were the additions of steep banking at Hugenholtz and Leyendyk. The unusual progressive banking in Hugenholtz in particular stands out as it brings the oval racing staple to the twisty side of motorsports and has produced action-packed results. Meanwhile, Leyendyk's new camber means that this corner is now easily flat out in pretty much every car and gives even better chances to try and overtake into the famous Tarzan. That said, passing is notoriously difficult at this highly technical track. And while it's much slower than its original guise, it still has some frighteningly fast corners, including Schieblach. If you're brave, the Hans Ernst chicane can sometimes offer chances to sneak by someone, but it can often become a clumsy wreck if you're not careful. The amounts of cash poured into the upgrades certainly produce more than just a fresh coat of paint. The spectacular racing put on by everything from open-wheelers to touring cars and sports cars is almost never dull. It's no wonder the Dutch fans come out in droves when the green flag waves here.
Jake Sperry, Justin Prince, Adam Lindgren on the cameras here for this one at the Circuit Park Zandvoort. Some say that this is the Mecca for Max Verstappen fans. Justin, this is a track which pretty much for this style of machinery is going to feel so wonderful, because for this sort of track, this sort of style, that run out to the final corner is going to feel just like Talladega.
Yeah, we were just talking about this prior to this race. Once again, welcome. Arnie Leyendyk is going to be one of those track portions that carries a lot of speed, because you see this track map right here. In recent years, it's taken a lot of updates, especially with the return of open wheel racing and the World Championship level, to say the least, in the real world. That being said, Tarzan's still tough. There's a lot more banking and a lot more in-turn, a lot more rotation for Gerlach and Hugenholtz as a result with some of the updates in recent years. The rest of the track is relatively the same, albeit a lot more barriers and a lot more modern infrastructure. That being talked about, though, when it comes to Zandvoort, still expecting to be a flowy racetrack when it comes to these MX5s, and expecting draft to be huge down the front straightaway, especially with that run through Arnie Leyendyk, with it being a NASCAR-style banking around 20 so degrees of banking in the corner. That's going to be a rocket ship of an exit for some people to the final corner to the front stretch.
It will, and there will be that leapfrog over towards Tarzan that many drivers will be looking to keep in mind. But you also have that brilliant middle sector of consecutive right corners through Schieblach, which is so committed, over through towards the Masters corner, and then that switch back left, the CM.com corner, is going to be rather crucial. We are in qualifying. They've got 10 minutes to set their one flying lap, I believe it is, that they have to get through, and those air and track temperatures as they normally are, that 80-degree Fahrenheit window. This is Miles Owens looking to try and gear up for his first flying lap. Car number 24. All these drivers' car numbers will be indicative of where they sit in the championship. So to see Miles Owens here in Division 2, his pre-qualifying did not go the way he hoped to. This is a damage limitation style race weekend that he will have to deal with here today.
Yeah, and you're already talking about when it comes to the racetrack. Let's touch upon this. High up on the banking, almost treating it like super speedway qualifying at Talladega to build a ramp, build the speed up for the start of the lap. The rest of the time onward, Miles Owens is going to really showcase this. Got to get the flow right, stay on the pavement, get the diamond down. Just a little bit too early on the curb, had to get a lot of correction steer. This time sets it up, though, for the middle sector. That run through Gerlach up to Hugenholtz. Run a bit at the curves of the right side tires, get the arc down for the diamond, down for the top of the banking to the bottom of the banking, if not use it for a touch of ramp through Hugenholtz. Just didn't get the grip down, it looks like this time, as they go through Slot Maker all the way to the second half of the racetrack. This is where it's normal for most people, I think, Jake, if they haven't raced at this track in the past couple of years. But outside of that, that whole entire front to back third of the racetrack is a tricky part. The middle third, it's very natural and is very relatively unchanged over the years.
It really is, and this is where you get that massive juxtaposition. A circuit that has so much banking. This middle sector is really flat and is damaging on tires as you go through. You're really relying on the mechanical grip of the car to pull yourself through. And through the CM.com corner, this is where Miles Owens really tries to open up that run and show exactly what he's got. Now, Hans' air spot here is going to be this left-right stadium section that comes along. The fans lining every corner as you go through. You've got to attack for a blind entry, down the hill to try and get the hook off of the corner. And this is where you start waking up and smelling the coffee. Turn 13 here is this transfer corner. Sometimes it's a Tony Hawk style corner because it's so easy just to run the curb on the outside, fall into trouble. Now Arie Luyendyk, of course, the world famous 90s driver out there from the IndyCar scene. Now you've got Miles Owens charging for the line. Now we'll see what sort of times are going to start creeping up on the board here. That's a 53 flat, not bad at all. 600ths clear of Tempest. Albert Palahi goes fastest then in terms of time. That's not bad at all. Roy Charles finding the wall there. His lap time over and done with.
Yeah, a lot of drivers having some tricky moments here. Here's Dumas, though, in that BB1 sim racing machine, seen a lot of fan attention on this car, to say the very least, before the qualifying sessions got underway. And look at some of the top times. He's amongst those from the practice that need to pick up an extra second from final practice over the course of 25 minutes. It's one-shot qualifying, though, Jake. That's the thing that a lot of people may not realize is it takes 2 to 3 laps to get this car up to speed. One lap, you're still on cold tires for the most part.
Yeah, it's all about how you manage. Tony Wallace here from the organization is another driver looking for a good time. It's 8,000ths here between Palahi and Moans. Miles Owens currently third. Patrick Alders goes fastest on home soil. Big time from the number 32 to go there. And don't count out this driver from the Miranda's M Squad, Scott Angelo. Former pro stripe back in the day, is a threat in any race he enters. There's Michael Tanagretta, the other organization driver, going out there and trying to find those times. But it's now a quarter of a second to the good. Patrick Alders versus the field.
Angelo's already on the second lap, so he didn't even get a qualifying time on the board. Most drivers seem to struggle to just do that, it seems. Sander Ware, I think, is another driver on the board that we're going to have to keep an eye on. This 46 machine, though, right now amongst those who did not put in any time in final practice. Get your top hats out. Try and make sure you have your caps ready to try and go from no cap to happy cap.
There is chances of plenty here for Michael Tanagretta if he can hook it all together as he looks to gear up for his flying lap. This is where you really get a sense where you got a long session of 10 minutes. Doesn't feel like long, but for one qualifying lap, Justin, it really does feel like a long flying lap out there. The key is going to be that if you are out there and you are late on your lap, as we watch Sandavara at this moment making his progress through, if you are late in towards your qualifying lap, you get the sense of you know where the times stack up.
Yeah, exactly, and that takes a bit of a difference maker in terms of if you're coming in hot compared to those who have had the extra time to at least get a feel on the racetrack temperatures and then be able to get the breather in. It's morning conditions for reference here, and we already seen those weather conditions as a whole. It will stay those conditions the whole race. So the track temperature is pretty solid. Now it's the matter, though, of did you get the prep down outside of the race session to make sure you're ready for the circuit today?
Well, it's going to be really important because these drivers had to pre-qualify 1 week before to work out where their seeding was going to put them. And of course, these drivers here in Division 2 didn't quite get it right, having to charge through. Roberto Bruno has gone second fastest, 800ths off of Patrick Alders, but Tanner Greta making his way out of that CM.com corner, and he's using all of the road. He's really wanting to attack here as he knows what it takes to get a good time. I would say if he can find himself anywhere inside the top 15, that's a good result for car 46, Michael Tannegretta out there at the moment. You will see a couple drivers out there with O numbers out there. That means that they've run the Club Series race earlier at Lédenon, which means that they are going to be scrabbling about with double runs they go through. Michael Tannegretta looking for his opportunity out of Ari Lurendijk, up and over the berm, and looking for that charge forward to see what it's going to be. 53.9 he's able to put down. That was pretty decent, but I think that will just get him a top 10. We saw what happened with Roy Charles earlier, Justin. This one shouldn't necessarily count on a 54 flat.
Yeah, the track position needs to be there, though, is my main thing for this type of racetrack today, because we talk about this a lot. Qualifying is, in many cases now in iRacing and in general in racing, it's one of those stages that gets you the first 75% done. I know how crazy the 75% done part is, but your race is a lot easier if you're starting P2 compared to P22. Am I right?
Yes, and this is where you've got to be alert. It's only 25 minutes, so if you're starting P22, wrong place, wrong time. Charles was able to get his lap time in as the lap time didn't work through, but Sandavara jumps inside the top 10 with a crucial time there. 0.6 of a second adrift, but P7 is everything he wanted and then some. We're going to take this time, jump over towards our Simify starting grid. Simify is your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. Choose from iconic brands and mix and match for the best way to get your leg up on the competition. Simify ships worldwide, and they also have 2 sim racing centers in Madrid and in Barcelona, dedicated to improving your sim racing skills. Head to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. A qualifying which had everybody sat waiting for an opportunity. It's Patrick Alders who's got the pole position with Roberto Bruno alongside for company on the front row. Albert Palahi and Ronald Mones will make up row 2 with Miles Owens and Matt Tempest 5th and 6th. Sandavara will start from 7th with Nuno Ricciardo in 8th. It's then Stefan Dumas in 9th, and Melvin Tyne will round out the top 10.
Michael Tannegretta starts off in 11th position today. Then it's Pedro Merriman in the 12th spot. Peter Guzins in 13th position. Started alongside the 70 machine. That's Roy Charles should say. Then Tony Wallace, we kept an eye on earlier on, a 154.1 in qualifying for 15th alongside Mick Robinson. Then it's Charlie Kellyman and Tom Weston. Back end of those who put in times, 19th to 20th. Matthew Cavis, that is big when it comes to Camus, I should say. He was top of the board final practice. He started alongside the 36 of William Van Rassel.
over the page then, 21st to 22nd, Damien McMullen. You're seeing the drivers who didn't set times. Scott Angelo, Kay Poulsen, Rene Zegelar. Jarno Larray, a big shock, not setting a time in qualifying. He's been at the pointy end of a number of races. And Stephen Orrell, unable to set a time, 26, here today at Zandvoort, trying to put their times together on the board. But these 25 minutes are often won and lost here around Zandvoort in the opening couple of corners. And when you've got a circuit that is so entrenched in the history that is such a narrow style circuit, you really get that sense that it will bottle up together, and you're very much in the train here from today's racing. Alders then with the front. Lights on here at Zandvoort. Division 2 finds itself underway. Roberto Bruno immediately falling into line then, charging towards Tarzan, the opening section of this track. It is going to be unchallenged in through the early section, but you get that sense that everyone falling nicely into line, having that nice slide through. Maybe Sandavara not necessarily getting what he wants then on the inside, as he really fights hard then through Gerlach and into the new banked Hugenholz section. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all nicely there. And there's the sense, Justin, of the drive you can get off the exit from the 3-wide racing car behind.
Yeah, and that 3-wide racing car is still having people poke around that blue and yellow machine, having to hold up a lot of pressure. You talked about some of the pre-qualification rankings. That's Miles Owens just getting turned.
Big one there for Miles Owens. He's got to keep it out of the barriers. He's just about been able to do it in his SimRace Sweden Esports machine, and he will now fall to the back of the pack, and that is a very hefty hit for him if he wants his place at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca come December. Ronald Moans there in the Virtual Bell car sees that SDC Spirit 14 machine of Albert Palahi in third, which is trying to keep itself in momentum at this point. Pieter Hossens now hoping that he can get the pass on Pedro Marimon down on the outside, heading towards Hans Erst here, that stadium section of the circuit, and on that outside track needs a bit of turn. Can he keep the nose at the inside? You betcha, and that's going to mean he'll pick up a position, and why not one more for the Troubles?
Yeah, that was Charles, believe, having a hard amount of contact. We've already had several toes. Kellyman, Tancredi, Charles is now done. Kay Poulsen having some troubles. Just taking a look at how this is already playing out. A lot of drivers may as well say, get the bubble wrap out. We needed to prepare the car and somehow turn it into Bond Bear in terms of getting the pieces fit back together.
Yeah, they do have unlimited fast repair, so they can go back out there and score some points, but they will know that they're at a severe disadvantage between now and the end of this one. Here is the group right now in the battle for sixth. You've got Nuno Ricciardo even leading this group. Melvin Tyne, Sandavara, Matt Tempest, who was quite aggressive on the opening laps. Look at the run that Sander gets up the hill over Melvin Tyne. Tyne, I think, is going to have to let this one go through Rob Slopemaker and over towards Shevlak here, up over the top of the crest, and try and find that commitment. Taking a driver's eye view here with Melvin Tyne in Sweat Sim Racing neon green. At this moment, really, you've got to be so switched on. Very tough to make a move through this middle sector.
Yeah, this is not a passing section whatsoever unless you decide to lick the stamp and then move some of it along. The one place that really pops to mind maybe for that section to get a pass down is based on that, maybe through Bach 9, that's about it. Everything else sets it up for Hansers. Gets the run, gets you to a drafting spot, even though it's a curve straightaway essentially, and then gets you for a dive bomb up to turn 11. Now this section has become a little bit more challenging with the grandstand additions per se, especially with the hill elevations added, but it is an opportunity, albeit a bold one, if you can get it done right from that middle sector.
And we just saw there Albert Palahi moving up to second past Roberto Bruno, as now there's the gap that's starting to form. Sandavara unable to hold the pace of Nuno Ricciardo just in front. Matt Tempest will get an absolute slingshot, but will he run out of slipstream here on this straight? Patrick Alders will pick up the fastest lap. There are bonus points for it, two of them. Oh, he threw him the Schumacher move straight down the inside. Sensational pass by Melvin Tyne. feigned to go one way, sold him the other way. Absolutely sensational. Round goes McMullen in the background.
Really rough race now for McMullen at this point, but some good aggressive battling. Good thing the pit exit's not expected to be used too much there for McMullen and company. But at this point, a lot of these drivers are pretty much saying, I want to go. I don't care about patience right now. There's only 25 minutes on the clock. This is the version of an official series sprint race. And a lot of these cars making it clear, if you are holding them up, you get maybe a lap to settle in. It's not quite so simple as work together and stay in line, especially when the leader's up by 2 seconds.
Yeah, and when you've got that gap, and that gap to race leader out there is pretty huge, you really get a sense that second, that third, that fourth have to sort of coalesce together if they want something to happen. Tempest still side by side then through turn 8 and into 9. Really almost a malfunction at the junction as everybody looks to try and search around for places. Manim on there in 10th. That's Mateo Camus, who is there just behind in 11th. He wants to try and jump through and gain into that top 10 and gain a few extra points, but you really get a sense here, the middle of the pack is going to be the wild, wild west of this race.
And the wildness of this, I think, just keeps on going at this point because that first sector just adds to it because it's, well, what are the past descriptions have had when it comes to Tarzan and when it comes to that first sector in particular is you need to be brave. You need to send it in without going and lunging yourself off into that tree in the sand trap or the trees outside the racetrack. Big blocks in the heart of the pack, though, and some of these major sends, and some of the drivers are getting the diamond line I talked about down pretty well to set up a pass back.
Yeah, there's certainly a chance there. It looks like San Navarro is having to be uber defensive. In through Gerlach, big send from Melvin Tyne down the inside. Nuno Ricciardo struggling a little bit to get the turn in through the corner, but look at this. Tyne leaves himself vulnerable by taking that low line down the inside as Scott Angelo sets the fastest lap of the race for Maradness M squad. That is beautifully constructed, and now it's Tempest's turn to try and look to the outside. Shivlak, a tough place if you've not got it side by side already, and as such falls into line. Whoa, Ricciardo, wow, what a save.
Oh, that was a little bit nerve-wracking in front of everybody, and he doesn't have it saved. I think the car might now get absolutely destroyed. What a rough moment there, Ricciardo, running top 5 for a good portion of this race so far. Just had the clip of the grass before the curbing. Now remember, this with an updated track is one of the 3D curbing type of circuits, and at some parts, that picks you up and runs you off the track.
Yeah, you've got to be switched on to the curbs around here. It is so easy just to clip it slightly wrong and find yourself thrown away. Pedro Marimon finds himself inside the top 10 thanks to that mistake. Really trying to dive down the inside. He'll turn Tempest. He'll find the barriers as well. And it'll be a huge disaster through the mid-pack here as they all went through. That was a major, major bit of no. Matt Tempest will feel very hard done by in his SimTech racing car.
Yeah, that's not going to be a pretty one. Just watch for this right here through Hanshurst. Remember, I talked about the potential of huge lunges. In this case, he lunged on the curbing, hard inside, committed to the inside, even though that was not a prime opportunity to pass essentially at the edge of the curbing. Just said, you know what, I want to make this move. Tempest is going to be very high-tempered there.
He very much will because he had complete command of the corner. Yes, Dumas went wide in front, but you get the sense that there's never a car width there, and that was basically a force out of the way, and how nobody else collected him off the exit of the corner, it's beyond beggars' belief at that moment. As we focus back again here with second, with third, with fourth, there is Albert Palahi in third. That is Ronald Mones in fourth. And there is the car they're chasing in the distance. Patrick Alders, who leads this race. Ronald Mones, the owner of Virtual Belcar. He runs that absolutely fantastically. And of course, Belcar, one of the key series out there in the world of GT development out there for Belgian drivers and the like. He's really trying to maximize his opportunities here as we find ourselves pretty much just over the 1/3 stage of this race, and it's 4 to the floor. And now look at this behind. Sandavara has Pieter Gossens then on the outside, trying to find this move at Hans Eers. But how deep do you want to go? That was perfect from Sander, the local knowledge coming in play.
And if you can't drive well at this racetrack, if this is your home country, then have you ever driven at this track at all? It's kind of the main thought process, but also you want to have that national pride here. For a lot of these drivers, though, look at that from up the road. The 004 is blocking to the grass in some of these sections. I think Guzins is going to not last that long in terms of patience or the lunge that's about to come back inside, that's about to bounce in the door from somebody.
Well, he's going to need to pick it up off the exit here. Sander Vara is commanding the inside fantastically. Again, has to go defensive. Slight left-hand bend into Gerlach. And wide goes Hossens. He's just about going to lose one. He's stuck down on that low line. Watch the drive from Melvin Tyne off the exit. He'll go through. Dumas will fly around the outside as well. Nothing you can do in that moment in time. That's how quickly you can lose out 3 positions. Sorry, that's Camus who is there in 7th position. So Camus really finding that jump. That is how quickly you can lose places, because that Hugenholz corner has completely transformed from what it used to be. Little look to the inside by Melvin Tyne, but Tyne is of the essence.
But Camus in particular, I've noticed this. Since the poor qualifying run after being top of the board in final practice, has really been cutting his way to the pack. Up 19 to 8, already double-digit spots, just picking off one by one here. Problem is, he's getting bundled up and held up a lot, and that's forcing him to compromise some of these exits and put him up for grabs for side-by-side here.
It is, and he had another little look there in towards that section. Tyne trying to take advantage here of his compatriot Sander Vara, who currently lives in Spain. A big hit on the brakes there, had a massive wiggle trying to stop the counter steer going through. Now you get the sense that that's a very, very loose piece of machinery from Sander Vara. It's starting to open up in terms of what can you find, and this is what you can find. Straight down to the inside. Yes, windscreen wipers do work here on these Miatas. Again, he'll have to go to the outside, try and make this happen, or will he try what he's trying again? Where did you come from, Pieter Hossens? On the outside, trying to take both of them. He went from nowhere trying to take that. Almost got it and didn't.
What a draft effect from the 68 machine, just saying, I've got to go in. Now he's getting punted nearly out of the way. And then you have Camus saying, no one's driving at the bottom. May as well try it. Just everyone's just stepping on each other. Oh, by the way, Bruno's within 3/10. He's closed up 2.5 seconds. So not only do you have this gaggle in pack 2, essentially, the lead is now a 3-horse race.
Make it 4, Albert Palahi on the back as well. So all of a sudden, Patrick Alders and the work that he's done in the first half of this race, he's now going to have to play defense, because Roberto Bruno in the Rosso Racing car is wanting to try and find his way forward like he's driving in Sunday red, like Tiger Woods. He now knows he's got opportunities here with Mons in 3rd, with Palahi in 4th position, and they are all going to wait try and get that Uber run out of Arie Lurendyk.
Yeah, Others has just been running perfect laps on his. Oh, no!
There goes Vara. There goes Hossens. There goes their races.
What was Guzins doing? Better yet, what were all of them doing? You already had one slide for the 48. But man, oh man, you cannot be doing that hard of the field.
That's a huge moment in the context of their seasons, but here's the look then for 3rd. Palahi looking to get to the inside, and late as you like it, Roberto Bruno tries to steal one down the inside. Patrick Alders gives him all the room, and a new race leader here with 11.5, but Alders does not give this one up, heading towards Gerlach. It does feel single file in these Miatas here in towards the Hugenholz corner, and as you were, top 4.
Yeah, now the top 4, I think that won't last long, the as you were. 6 estimated laps to go. Goes pretty quickly today, when even though it's 2-minute lap times, you have these drivers trading spots like trading cars. Let's take a look at what happened, I think, because I seen in the corner of my eye, and that's why there was reaction of, he just straight up turned across the nose of the blue and yellow machine. Watch this. Great run to the corner exit. Gussen's got the run. You also have Camus cutting through the grass, but whatever. But right here, just tries to cut right to get alongside that in front and forgets he's still side by side.
I think it's part of that, and partly he's trying to take Melvin Tyne's draft here. I think that's just a case of a lack of awareness, and sometimes it does happen when you got the blinkers on, and that very much was the case. Still, some great battling up and down the field. Drivers are making places. Scott Angelo, I think, is your biggest mover and shaker in the field. He will take some bonus points for being, of course, the biggest mover in the field, but Moans here in P4 sees Roberto Bruno, sees Patrick Alder, sees Albert Palahi, and says, you know what? I'm just going to wait because we're under 10 minutes to go. I think by the time it gets to 5, that's when you're going to really want to be aggressive. And look how aggressive they're going to be, all the way over to the pit wall.
Yeah, that is aggressive defensiveness there. Outers, though, just has fallen off late. That was a touch naughty, but not so bad, especially since Outers moved in the racing line and the braking line. But he is dropping back like a rapid falling stone into the water.
And everywhere you look, there's moves, because that's Miles Owens, who, remember, was turned around on the opening lap, and he's somehow back in 5th place. What a recovery by Miles Owens as he gets through on Mathieu Camus.
Nice slice, nice dice. Take advantage of the fact everybody else is too busy fighting each other to notice, hey, I'm the fastest car here all of a sudden. Not going to be a race-winning run. Not even the slightest for the top 5 at the very least. Is a definite better result for Owens compared to what it could have been.
Scott Angelo slides around the outside. Nothing that Melvin Tyne can do about that one. He is rocketing, is Scott Angelo, and you have to consider as well the fact that he is Australian, and you look at that time in the morning, it is not a conducive time to go out there and find a series to race. Alders now sees Ronald Moans trying to find a place here on the inside of the CM.com corner. Not able to get there with 8.5. He'll have to fall into line because they don't want to lose Palahi and Bruno. We know how easy it is for that rubber band to snap. That mistake from Roberto Bruno, slightly too deep there through Hans Erst, has just brought everyone back together again. This is perfect for Palahi.
3rd and 4th falls into the work together competition mindset. 1st and 2nd, with 8 minutes to go, it's pretty clear Palahi doesn't want to just sit here and wait. His whole team's a momentum, or rather I should say, has had the mindset of you got to go. And right now they're trying to go diamond, if not outside, for the pass.
Oh, trying to cut back underneath. Not going to quite get the run there. Roberto Bruno commanding the inside, does well. Moans on the outside now is also going to pick up the move. Little search at Gerlach. Not going to get there. Moans will take his 3rd, but Palahi on that outside very nearly decided he wanted to steal one away. It's very difficult when you've got to command turn 2. Turn 3 is the almighty momentum maker here to head towards Shevlak corner and watch them dance here in the Dutch dunes. This a circuit which is one with nature. This is a race right now that feels one with nature.
One that seems to be out to the wildness and out to the wilderness in terms of its wild factor. That battle for 5th position, though, has stayed remaining wild. Oh, there's been some bobbles up towards the race lead group, though, because he nearly, I think, nearly turned himself towards the start of the 3rd sector already.
And that could have been disastrous there if he turned it around. But look at the run. He tries to get off the exit. Alders with a bit of a slide. Roberto Bruno struggled then. And all of a sudden, Palahi's there, but he's on the wrong side of the road if he wants this move. And look at those 3 on the outside, giving a little bit of that slipstream toe. It works both ways, you know. You can get a bit of toe if there's 3 in the group. But on that outside lane, it's not going to work. Roberto Bruno is placing his car in all the right places, and it's going to be a case of who can find a way by him at the moment, because he is just defending the inside as and when he's needed to. He's not been overly aggressive by doing so. In fact, he's being clever. Now he starts the serpentine. He starts to play the game. Over towards that inside with 6 minutes to go. Here comes the look from Palahi, looking to the outside to try and find it. Big up and under. Malfunction at the junction. And Palahi brute forces his way to the race lead.
Well, that was a lot bit naughty, to say the least, from Hawaii Company. Quite simply, it looks like Bruno tried to back up the corner, had the shallow entry. No one else was having it. And now, battle on, to say the least, not just for there, but also battle on across that top 5 Group 2. Similar mindsets. Here we go again. Bruno with a good recovery.
Oh, this is huge as they head up towards C Black. Who's going to yield? Here to the fast right-hander. Palahi to that inside just as to fall back into line. Ronald Moans will sit there in third and watch. Roberto Bruno there. And there's a little bit of contact then to go for it. This is what racing's about. 1, 2, 3. All getting caught up. Alders will sneak his way with 5 minutes left back to the lead, which he had from pole.
That almost looked like Hungry Hippos in terms of the contact and the way the cars were handling there. But I think Outers just quite simply is saying, thank you very much. I was just riding. I'm just going to take all those spots, being the calmest of them all here. Some of these drivers are absolutely destroying their chances the way they're running, especially with what we've seen from Hawaii the past lap.
Yeah, and Palahi has felt really much like a case he's gone from pillar to post twice in the same lap. There's been contact, and now he's 1.5 seconds away, and he's got a long road to recovery to get through, and not a lot of time to get out of this back up. But Alders and Moans and Bruno still have that opportunity, still running Ari Lurendijk, still thinking that they're going to pick up an almighty tow, and it will be a scrabble to see who is going to get to Patrick Alders, who tries desperately to help Ronald Moans out in the slipstream. That's quite clever from him here to force the side-by-side, but Bruno's got that inside line, and Roberto Bruno, number 20 in the championship right now. This is a damage limitation round, and he is doing everything in his power to race against drivers like Ronald Moans, who is outside the top 40 at the moment, and Patrick Alders, who is someone looking to just try and improve so that he doesn't have to bubble.
And for Outers, I think the tough part's going to be the defense, because we've talked about this a lot in terms of the draft tracks in particular, Jake. For packs like that, and packs like even Battle for Fifth here, the discussion's always been, okay, do I want to be the leader? And better yet, how do I make sure I'm the one in second, or in some cases third? It almost gives the vibe, the way this race has gone, that you almost need to be the one in second for the final lap, just with how much the pole has been down the front straight away.
Well, this is a pack-style racing series. It always has been. Miles Owens here in 5th, C. Scott Angelo there in 6th. These drivers were 11 seconds off the race lead about 5 minutes ago. They're now down to 7.5 seconds off the race lead, but they'll be looking at themselves and looking at that front group to see, will they scrap about for it? Moans again getting close here to Roberto Bruno, but realizes that Patrick Alders has now a gap of 6 to 7 tenths of a second with a couple laps in the back pocket. You can't afford too much out there. Mateo Camus will jump through. He will now get the pass on Scott Angelo, but has that cost the time to Miles Owens all of a sudden?
Yeah, this battle has been back and forth back there. But now, here's the virtual bell card machine. Solid team now looking for solid speed. It looks like they're going to get an air lap. Yes, 2 to go. They beat it by 10 seconds.
That's big, so that's going to mean they're going to have to go around and get one more rotation. That's an extra lap of opportunities to find the places, and you'd feel for Bruno and Moans, an extra lap to try and find the passes. Looking for the up and under, it's not there. Scott Angelo takes a huge chunk out of the back bumper of Mateo Camus, who was going to say, you know what? No, you're not going to win and get through on reputation alone. You're going to have to work for it. Watching then from the chopper, chasing up through the dunes, Patrick Alders and Sweat Sim Racing. Well, he has been made to sweat the entire race.
Still, when talking about all this, though, the one thing I'm starting to notice here is Alders, we've seen him pull way before, early going, when things got very intense behind. It's almost like he's finally rechanneled that aggressiveness they're battling harder for second than they are trying to catch up, and this is falling right to the home nation's men's car up at the very front.
Well, this is the key. If you can't think you can get the win, you're going to have to start scrapping for second. You've got to move up the train at some point, otherwise you're going to lose out. And that's what Ronald Mose is trying to do here, there at CM.com. He's trying to find a way through, and he's going to be pushed into a channel he won't necessarily like doing here. Roberto Bruno having to take a slightly defensive line, that gap teetering at a second. And you get the sense that Patrick Alders has just got to put one foot in front of the other, and he might be home free. Miles Owens will still have to deal with Mateo Camus just behind. Oh, Angelo, heavy into the barriers, he's out.
Yeah, just had a lot of hop, it looked like, yeah. Quite simply for Scott Angelo. Hopped himself across the 3D curbing, straight into the tires, and straight around into the wall. Absolutely destroyed the car meatball flag, but now it's the white flag. Final time around, and Alders looks to be comfortable.
The key for Angelo is he is allowed to finish his final lap that he has put together, because that mechanical black flag must be served within 4 laps, so that's okay. 0.6 of a second though. Alders is being reeled in, and Roberto Bruno knows he's got to find it. That's wide there from Alders, trying to really get a run off the exit. It's cost him 0.2 through the corner, but will he gather it back up on the straight? He'll now lose out because of the slipstream. He pulled 0.5 back, and Roberto Bruno will now give chase, and suddenly it's 0.4, 0.3 of a second, 3.5 here into Shevlack corner. Alders will now know he's in a race here on this final lap. Roberto Bruno throwing everything he can at it. Big shallow line by Alders. Bruno will get a much better run here, down in towards turn 8. Now he knows as he heads back then for the next section at CM.com. He's just got to try and open it up, and he takes again a much wider line through the corner, really trying to find something off the exit. The last great overtaking opportunity comes up here at Hanshurst, and will it be a throw of the dice from Roberto Bruno's Rosso Esports car? It won't be here. Alders has got it covered, but you could get a drive off the exit potentially. This is going to be as close as it gets here. They will scrap to 13. Little wiggle off the front. Here comes Bruno to the outside, searching for the chance to get this move done. And now it's about drive. Now it's about getting to the inside of Larry Lerendijk. That is sensational from Roberto Bruno as he rushes around Patrick Alders. He will steal one from him here at Zandvoort. It's still not over as they drive to the line. Roberto Bruno, and a drag race and a photo finish, takes it by a 10.
Strong finish, strong run for Bruno. Jake, have a sip of water, my goodness.
Simply put, fantastic. You couldn't ask for much better there in terms of a finish, but still, you've got drivers racing it out to the end. Mick Robinson hoping he can take one away from Sandavara late, but that is what Zandvoort's all about. That was all on pure setup, and the defensive nature of Patrick Alders played perfectly into the hands there of Roberto Bruno, who knew he needed points today, knowing that he was down. He wasn't going to score massively compared to those in Division 1, as Vara does finish off ahead as he went through. Simply magical, Roberto Bruno. He gets it done, 800ths over the line and a half, ahead of Patrick Alders, with Ronald Mones rounding out the podium. You've got Albert Palahi in third, who ended up isolated after a couple of incidents, with Miles Owens, what a recovery, back to 5th, with Mateo Camus in 6th, and Melvin Tyne in at 7th position. Pedro Marimon would finish ahead of the damaged Scott Angelo then in 8th and 9th. Willem van Rassel would round out the top 10.
11th spot today going to Matt Tempest. A solid recovery from the turnaround. Tom Weston from the association in 12th position. Rene Singalar finished off 13th. Tony Wallace and Sander Mayer in 15th position. Mike Robinson, Stephen Dumas on with Ricardo, Nuno Ricardo should say, in 18th. Guzins finished all the way in 19th after the turnaround, and Michael Danagretta finished off in 20th position after early contact.
Rest of the drivers a lap down or out of the race. Kay Poulison, Damian McMullen, Stephen Orrells, Roy Charles, and Charles Kellyman, the Jamaican driver, getting into troubles. Jarno Larray, a non-starter then, here in 26th position. Will be a shame for him and his championship points. But we're going to jump away one last time here with the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. Your main event comes up after this. And if those first two races are anything to go by, my word, do you not want to miss. We've got some amazing racing that's been happening here around the circuit of Zandvoort. That Division 2 race put everything together. The driver who found himself just on the wrong side of Lady Luck there at the very end is stood by with us right now. Patrick Alders is here with Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed, Patrick. Talk us through those final moments in this one as you had to play some defense and also a little bit of offense to get right back there as everyone else decided to play bowling balls.
Well, yeah, that was intense. I'm still sweating a lot, so yeah, living up to my team name, I guess. But yeah, it was really a tough race for me. I made a couple of errors halfway, yeah, which caused the guys to catch up. Then indeed they went play bowling, and I thought, well, this is my chance to go on the inside, take back the position on P1. But in the end, yeah, fair play to Roberto. He put on the pressure on the final lap. And yeah, in the final corner, I just didn't want to risk it all. And I thought, well, if it's not going to be P1, then at least it's going to be P2.
How was it overall, though, to be able to get a race at a racetrack like this, but also a home race for you in the sim?
Yeah, it's amazing. I generally don't really like Zandvoort as a racing track. It's a great track, in my opinion, for hot lapping, not so much for racing. But yeah, in these MX5s, it's always a close battle, especially with the guys in this division. So yeah, it made for a great race in the end.
So getting ready for the Division 1 race right now, and several of your teammates are actually taking part in solo qualifying right now. What's kind of the mindset we should keep an eye on from at least that set, knowing what you guys just did in Division 2 and knowing your teammates, several of them are getting ready to look and try and put on the sweat in D1?
Yeah, absolutely. We have Eduard Grobe in Division 1, and yeah, I hope he can make up some good positions. He did a really great seeding his practice wasn't quite there, but in the end he found the pace. He got himself into a good position in Division 1. So yeah, let's hope and see what he can do. Hopefully he can get a good race in the mid-pack and see where he can end up.
Well, on that note, Patrick, anybody want to give a shout out to before we get to the ward towards the cameras of D1?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to thank my teammates for sticking up with me and getting some great practices in together. I think we're pushing each other forward, which is great. And of course our sponsors as well, Build for Performance, Bolt Personal Training, and Naskens, who supported us throughout the season. So that's awesome. Thanks, guys.
And that's Patrick Elders coming away with the victory here today in Division 2. As he said, Jake, teammates in the field in the midst of qualifying, although his teammate is one of those not to yet set a time. Now, I have a lot more experience in terms of D1, but I can say this based on the entry list. We are in very stacked lands when you have Jacob Lopez and Yanni Lin, the driver who somehow makes every single time attack-based event in this field.
Yeah, Yuanji Lin is someone who's really good. The reigning champion, Jaume Dalmases, currently on the pole. Half a tenth over Nicholas Goebel in second position. This is Ray Lombardi for MX5 Deep Dive, looking to make sure that his flying lap gets him close over the line, but a 52.3 is going to put him a little ways down the order. P17 only. Jack Veazey in the number 9, 9th in the championship coming into today at 51.4, 0.6 of a second off the pace. That'll be good enough to jump to 8th place just behind David Teron, who's there in 7th. But here is El Capitan Fantastico. Ade Koba is looking for his 3rd straight race win here at Zandvoort, and he knows he's just got to put the best lap available on the board.
And Jacob Lopez is one of those drivers I've seen compete in major events. He was one of the drivers that looked to compete in, say, those events within GK and NTK Esports. Unfortunately, his timing in the end didn't see him line up well with some of the equipment side, but he's one of the top drivers for not just the sponsor, but in terms of the sim as a whole when it comes to spec side. He knows the flow, he knows the rhythm, he knows to keep it clean. The tough part's going to be getting the top of the board. He was top 10 in final practice, and he is essentially the one left to go in the session.
He was part of the legendary Iberica racing team back in the day. Here now for Simify Esports. He's hoping that he can find a pole position. It's all about straight lining this run. It's his compatriot Jaume Dalmases, 150.898 that he's got to beat. He's not got the time. It's a 51.3, and it's only P7 for Ade. He will have work to do in this race if he wants his 3rd straight victory here in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, and he's going to have to go through a whole host of Zenith and also 5-star motorsport cars if he wants that to happen here today. So a lot on the plate here in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. That looks like that might be everyone then across the line, which means we can take ourselves for the final time today over to our Simify starting grid. Simify is your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and mix and match from the best way to get your leg up on the competition. Simify ships worldwide and also have 2 sim racing centers in Madrid and Barcelona dedicated to improving your sim racing skills. Head to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. A important qualifying, a big qualifying for Jaume Dalmases, the reigning champion. He is also the championship leader, and he has got himself where he needs to with that pole. Nicholas Goebel will be alongside for company. It's then Jason Cooper who finds himself 3rd, and the ever-consistent Asnan Grozdanic, the Bosnian and Herzegovinian, is there in 4th position. Alberto Blanco and Lars Fischer will be 5th and 6th, with Ade Koba 7th and David Teron in 8th place. It's Jack Veazey who starts 9th, with Yuanji Lin rounding out the top 10.
11 spots today on the racetrack going the way of Dylan Del Costa. Then it's Joel Singleton in the 12th position for this one. Field starting to make the way to the starting grid now as Nuno Ferreira starts off 13th. The 151.8 in qualifying. Gidio Hilsini in the 15 in 14th. In 15th is the car 13. Paris Sandberg is to mix up all their own numbers. And Trevor Roy, he starts off 16th. 17th goes to Jameson Zampeo, along with Christian Heinz in 18th. Ray Lombardi starts 19th. And then rounding out your top 20 is Philippe Scrifgano in the white and orange machine.
Over the page then, there's 30 drivers here today. Ewan Bremer and Laurent Sebastian will make up that 11th row with Kalle Kavisto and Tucker Sawyer in 24th. Lincoln Fox struggling to get a time in, so to Alexandre Longo. Then you got Edward Gross, Jordan Svetanov, Chris Knox, and a big name at the back. It's Vladi Shopov, who finds himself in P30 with it all to do today at Zandvoort. He was a top 10 contender for qualifying who did not put it together on the books. This is a huge juncture in the season. This is what you would call meat and potato races. You've got to find your best form in the middle. It was around this time last year that one Mr. Jaume Dalmases started to put the building blocks together when his summer was absolutely sensational. The race to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca now has to drive through Zandvoort, and this is where it gets big, and this is where it gets crucial. A lot of five-star motorsport cars trying to make their progress through, and the team game of Zenith versus five-star is going to be on full display when you consider it's second and fourth, first and fourth versus second, third, and fifth. 25 more minutes to put onto the clock here at Zandvoort. This is where Division 1 looks to ignite. Green flag in the air, and we are underway racing. It's a good start then, off of the front from Jaume Dalmases. They will now charge to Tarzan corner. Big covers off on the inside. Everybody angling for that inside line, trying to get through. It looks clean through the front. Grosdanich has covered off his line perfectly. Yuanxi Lin looking to attack now here in towards Gerlach and the Hugenholz. He has to lift out of it. Ade looking for the inside now to steal one.
And Day right now still seems to be... Oh, big wrecks at the back of the field here in the 20s. Everybody else at the front of the field. Much cleaner launches. And now it looks like the five-star machine's trying to say we've got to move forward as a group. Oh, wait, we're losing cars because of all this. Colt Lopez is playing good defense on David Terrell in particular.
Yeah, David Terron couldn't do anything about that, and that's going to open up the door for Jack Veazey to jump down. Easy peasy. He gets through. Wrong side of the road, David. That's going to be another one through. It's Dylan DaCosta in the Virtual Drivers TX3 trying to get that pass done, and he's going to pick one up for troubles. Cover off the door. Yuanxi Lin's now there from 5th to 10th in the blink of an eye. That's what this series will do to you if you're on the wrong side of the road. Big spin in the middle. It looks like Polici and co just about able to get through. It's Nuno Ferreira for MX5 Deep Dive.
Yeah, a lot of incidents building up, a lot more compared to the last race. I'll tell you what for the first lap. But that's to be expected when you talk about the intensity levels, but also the field intensity as a whole. Just go up and up and up. Like side by side back here is going to be costly for many. But remember, for a lot of drivers, you have to get the time back. You got to make up for lost ground. You're only 23 minutes. There's no time to sit back and wait for an extra 20 minutes to make a move.
Here's Lars Fischer searching towards the inside on Alberto Blanco. This is to help out Goebel and Cooper and taking that inside line. Has he got what he wants on the exit? No. Alberto Blanco's going to scrap with him every single stage of the way. Now to the outside, trying to find this move. Not going to happen here. Now trying to get to single file. Everyone tries to hug the outside line. It's counterproductive, but it works because the banking's so severe at the Hugenholz that you get that run. And all of a sudden now, it's Jaume versus the world. Goebel second, Jason Cooper in third, and Adnan Grosdanich in fourth place.
That actually explains a bit, though, not just in terms of the aggressiveness, the banking up top for that corner, though, to touch upon that sector. One thing I noticed when we seen one of the MX5s go down there in Division 2 is it's almost got a bit of an aggressive bank in that middle sector's banking portion of the racetrack. For Hugenholz, that's why I think so many people are going up. Remember, for those who have not seen, say, a stock car race or anything on a banked oval, The higher the banking degree, the higher the speed. And that's in turn, if the banking at the bottom is rounding out like a bowl, it's going to be like driving in a normal flat corner with a lot of low speed. You go higher up where there's more banking degree, you're talking about potentially a lot more on throttle time for the corner exit to get the pass done.
Yeah, and getting that pass done is so crucial, and that's why drivers are making that race to the top. They are trying to make sure they're keeping things as they need to be. Jason Cooper playing rear gunner action here. Troubles for Trevor Roy, who dives down through the order, so he's fallen into a little bit of troubles. But now here's where the slipstream comes into play. It's again Blanco versus Fisher along the front stretch looking for a move. But here comes Nicholas Goebel, who's not going to want to wait. Jason Cooper takes the fast slap bonus points away. But it's still Jaume on the outside, as committed as ever to that defense, and that was inch perfect.
Razor thin up towards the front, but this is why it's top of the top when it comes to the running order, but also the championships. You have to be able to handle aggressive pressure. As expected too, the pack and its train, it has a lot more cars attached to it for the choo-choo train effect.
It really does, and that means that where the rubber band snaps is key. It's an 11-car train at the front of this field, all with an opportunity, and that could snap at any moment, at any decoupling of the carts. Jack Veazey looks like that first decoupling at the moment, meaning it's 7 within a second and a half. Big check-up then for number 8. Blanco now leaves Ade with an opportunity on this outside parabola to make the move at CM.com. He's not going to find it, but he's going to try and cut back underneath. But the Zenith Esports guard's got himself back into line with the help of Lars Fischer in front. And Ade is just bogged down. This is what he didn't want.
Yeah, honestly, that type of lunge we just seen is kind of what he kind of indicated. You said right there he didn't want to be back there. Everybody showed the nose and said, I'm going to lunge it on you if you don't find speed in the next 3 seconds. 1-2 lunge time. And that's kind of a smart play. A lot of people, if they zone out, forget that if you show the nose, there is an indication of you're going to dive it.
There absolutely is, and here comes that indication from Nicholas Goebel, who moves to the inside of Jaume Dalmases for position, for the race lead, straight on through, but Jaume does not give this one up on the outside. This is going to be a titanic battle between these two to prove that they've got the pace. Goebel still can't get the clearance he wants. Jaume Dalmases is like the last warrior from another planet. He's going through. Big trouble in the background, as Eugenio Pulici.
And curious what happened to the Italian, to say the least, right now. Is running 14th. Looks solid. But one of the things about getting the moves done wrong in the pack is quite simple. You carry too much speed into the corner through Tarzan. You swing in, aggressively send it. There was a car there. That's the problem. He hit the back bumper of the car in front, and chaos reigns in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely clobbered another, trying to just stay out the way of everyone, trying to get to the inside. Ade! Oh, what a lunge down the inside. Lars Fischer, who has been ever the consistent driver this season, and Lars trying to now really show the comeuppance back. Ade there with a big lunge. Doesn't quite get it to pay off because it's tit for tat. There's a switchback, and now Ade's got to go aggressive again at Hans Ayers. That gap now is opened up to 7/10 here to Adnan Grozdanic, and wisely he falls back in line.
Yeah, that time the move wasn't on. Oh, in trouble for the leader. We have trouble in the back for Posini, but you have Dalmases, who just had a mistake hitting too much curbing. He's lost the lead.
And not only that, he's lost second, 5-star 1 and 2 at the moment. Jaume Dalmases, the championship leader, the reigning champion, with a rare mistake. Now, remember, 7 out of 10 best scores, and that is pushing from Jason Cooper. He doesn't want to take the race either way. He's going to push Nicholas Goebel on this straight. Watch out, left, right, and centre. Jaume around the outside, trying to find his move. Can he get the launch off the exit to take it away from Jason Cooper to gain an extra one? No, he can't. Wrong side of the road. Looks as well for the inside as Fischer continues with Grozdanic finding the defence. Ade Comer's covered low. Oh, you can't cover it that late. There's the look from Fischer, and he will steal it on Adnan.
Team champions from 2023 are showing a lot of aggression, let's put it that way right now. But same for Copa Lopez. I think we already knew that this was potentially on the cards for him to try and slice through the whole field. He's right now pretty much saying, qualifying was a fluke. I'm going to make up all the spots. I'm going to go for the race lead by the final 5 minutes. I'm going to call that shot right now with how he's been able to play these runs. It's just right now picking the spots is the hardest problem because Lopez is reaching some of these cars at the wrong times to make the moves.
He very much is. That 22 on his car is not indicative of his championship position. He missed the opening round of the season. He won round 2, he won round 3. Nicholas Goebbels got 1 round missing at the moment. Remember, it's best 7 of 10 that score in the championship, and Adnan Grozdanic now has to wake up. Lars Fischer now has to play the role that he needs to make sure that Goebel and Cooper can run away. Jaume Dalmas says he can't do too much about as they rush once more to Arie Luyendyk corner, and now look once again for those opportunities to attack. Adnan Grozdanic in the train, which is still now 11 deep, with Dylan da Costa on the back, then the Frenchman as the last one on the train. They're looking left, they're looking right, they're covering here, there and everywhere, and again it's going to be Jaume on the outside. He's got to be careful about it though, because he might get freight train being out there too long if he's not too careful.
Yeah, this choo-choo train effect still is bottled up with the Zeta machine in the midst of the corking. I think right now it's pretty clear-cut, though, in terms of what we're seeing, though. Goebel's got good speed. It's similar to what we've seen in the Division 2 race. If you have a lead car that's very good in the non-draft heavy sections, they are, well, very good. If you're the case of Lynn, well, you're thinking, how do I get up there and join my teammates? I'd like to have a chance up there, too. Him and Tehran are stuck back there at the back end of this top 10 with the train about, wow, 11 cars deep still.
This is what makes the Simify MX5 World Sim Series so good. The talent level is simply classy. Adnan Grozdanic having to throw a defense then on Ade Koba, trying to make sure that he can pick it up after what happened last month at Brands Hatch when it went right down to the wire. But Grozdanic was just one stage too far away. Second it was for him all the way there in Forkham in Kent. Here just over the English Channel, over towards Zandvoort. It's a different story. It's Nicholas Goebel who's got that control. Jason Cooper, his teammate, just behind him. But then you got someone like Jaume Dalmas who doesn't like taking seconds. He doesn't like taking thirds. He likes wins. And he's definitely going to try and do everything in his power to chase down that gap. The issue he's got, it's 3 5-star cars. It's one Jaume Dalmas.
Yeah, quite simply, being second, third step, but it's a funnel. Cooper just about bopped his teammate out of the way. That's going to open up the door perfectly for Dalmas. That's just miscommunication amongst teammates.
Yeah, that was Lars Fischer there trying to find the move, and suddenly the inside line opens up. Jason Cooper really trying to block past his way through. Oh, he's going to force him out of road. And all of a sudden, Lars Fischer gets into play. Side by side, as they go through. It's now 0.8 of a second. It's right on the limit. This is vital for Jaume Dalmas. If he wants to get through, he's got the inside at Sheblack. Jason Cooper, wrong side of the road. Just about going to fall into line. What a vital move, but 1 second to Nicholas Goebel.
Yeah, some of these moves are getting a little bit outlandish. But hey, we're already past the halfway point of the race, so outlandish becomes almost urgent. 1 second the gap between first and second, though. I don't think that's going to last as long as the last race. They're just at the edge of drop sniffing range. In fact, Dalmas, I think, could pretty much become the bridge for the rest of the field. It's just now, does everyone else cooperate and understand that? Or does everyone say, what are bridges? We can just light them on fire.
Well, there's no reason why Cooper and Fischer would want to get through, as it's getting dice there towards the middle. That's a mistake from Cooper, and all of a sudden, Jaume Dalmas gets all the respite that he needs. He knows he's not going to be overtaken now. Out of Arie Luyendyk, and charging up forward towards Nicholas Goebel. He gets exactly what he wanted because the 5-star cars behind are starting to make minor mistakes, and we say minor because it's there. Look out, Adnan Grozdanic is starting to think about waking up here, giving Lars Fischer a little bit of whatnot then. Bump then to the corner from Ade Koba. Suddenly, it's Alberto Blanco back down the inside.
Yeah, Colt Lopez, I think, is stuck back there. He can't get around all this traffic without some help right here. The problem is, every time again, he's got a chance. It seems like the 2 has become his cork in the bottle because of how much he's slowing up. Now another squeeze. They do know that's grass and not pavement out there, right?
They do, and they are driving on the finest of margins. It is finite, the resource of grip that they've got. Jack Veazey to the inside, but there's still 2 more corners that Ade Koba can go side by side along. This one's going to be important if you can just squeeze on that inside. Oh, brilliant car control there. Veazey caught up on the big sausage curb, can't do anything but realise that that gap has opened up, and suddenly Fischer and Cooper are searching around at each other. They're having a massive scrap with Grozdanic and Blanco, and that is what Ade Koba is hoping to catch on to. 1.1, his gap.
I'm noticing on the intervals, though, you know who's closed up? As expected, Demasis has closed up in. My prediction about everyone saying, what are bridges? Let's light them on fire seems to have reigned true for a bit, with all the 5-star machines trying to fight each other rather than wait a lap and work behind the Zenith machine to get to this viewpoint. But 10 minutes to go. I think Demasis is going to have a chance to be able to build a big run. It's just, where does he get it? Going to be tight this time. Next time, going to be really on. But he's got it this time. Look at that boost.
Well, Nicholas Goebel's not going to fight this one. He's going to allow him to have the inside line. He's going to allow him to try and fight for it and take the race lead away. And that might be some smart play by Nicholas Goebel here. Tactical driving then by him, because he knows the best place to be on the final lap is second place, getting that run along the front stretch to Tarzan. That might be what he's banking on.
I think he's banking on that, absolutely. Better yet, banking on some of the drafts in general here. We've already seen, with it being tight, we've seen multiple passes the same lap in this division with the pole. Nicholas Goebel, in fact, I'm noticing, is fighting himself on not sending it in a non-passing section. He nearly ran over the 1 car with the pole.
He's got so much slipstream on these straights. He's doing wonderfully. We've also got to keep an eye on the Hard Charger Award, which will give some points, and that is Vladi Shopov's at the moment, who is 13th position right now and could take 12th. He's having a wonderful race here, Justin.
Yeah, some nice racing in the midst of the mid-pack as well. We haven't looked here too much. They have fallen off a fair bit, but these 3 have stood out because they were back 12 seconds early going. They lost the draft early. Since then, they've kind of all grouped together and said, let's work as a unit, run away, get good mid-table finishes, go from there. Shopov in particular, he was dead last in qualifying. He's essentially swapped spots with Puccini from the qualifying session and placed that for the race line, 30th to 14th, compared to the 14th to 30th for the 15th.
That is what he's been looking for, and now they will work the Oracle again. That's an angle to the inside from Nicholas Goebel. He'll want to move forward to the race lead now, knowing that this is the right time to make that send, and he will send it through and try and get it through. We know how good Dalmasis is on the outside, but this time surely it's not going to be enough. They're going to be wing mirror to wing mirror through Gerlach corner, and this is where you're going to have to try and take as much circuit as you can. Oh, he's going to almost go off the road. He will go off the road. Goebel's going to have to get this one up. Here comes Jason Cooper to the scene.
Might have found a little grip strip there, though, with how much banking he utilized in the midst of the blue stuff. But look at the pole of the teammates. Now it's a 3-car bump draft nearly amongst the 5-star machines. And it's the question now, do they have the same page? Can they get on same page? Can they work together and try and cycle the Zenith car out?
Well, here's the issue they've got. They've got Adnan Grozdanic, who wants to be a thorn in the side. They've got Alberto Blanco, and now because they start defending, welcome back Ade Koba, welcome back Jack Veazey, David Teron, and Yuan Jilin. It's 10 back again. Grozdanic will lose out the place and get shuffled out, and to his misery, Ade Koba might steal one back as well as he now falls to 7th. It is all wake up with 6 minutes 45 seconds left, because this race right now is a powder keg ready to explode.
I think it already exploded a couple times already. It's just that there are tiny explosions. It's the matter of when it becomes the big kablooey, so to speak, with only a few laps to go. Yep, Damasus Torres that's looking very hungry again for the pole. The rest of those in line just can't close enough. These two up front are the ones to beat with the pace they have in the midfield, in the mid-table, in the mid-corners.
That's what they've been doing. They've been running roughshod from the front. Jaume doesn't get the clearance, and again, he'll have to go around the outside. Some brilliant driving between them. There has not been a single piece of contact between them. It has been so respectful with the way that they've been driving. They have been giving each other the bare minimum of margins out there at this race, but still, Dalmasis and Goebel putting on a masterclass here at Zandvoort, leaving Cooper and Fisher and Blanco and Koba to scrap for one final place on the podium.
Well, I can already tell you this with Damasus Torres in particular. Took a few moments to get the connection. Remember, he's been big in this car for 5 years. One car wrecked off the racetrack, and that's a 5-star machine to take off runoff. Others, well, I think some of them are having some tough times all of a sudden because Chris Knox is stuck in the sand.
That's a big one then, and here is someone who has gone out then from the School of Hard Knocks with straight A's, but that's a hefty incident for the Scot, and he has been there for a while, a long while, and that's up at Shevlack Corner, where you don't necessarily expect it. The suspension caved in, which is why he can't leave the gravel, and as such, he's out of this race. Look at Nicholas Goebel try and find his way through, and he is really trying to open up Jaume Dalmasis for an opportunity. Watch for Alberto Blanco. Oh, look at a block from Lars Fischer. He's trying to stymie the run, so there's going to be no way of Alberto Blanco getting up to help Dalmasis.
Absolutely. Try to play teammate games at this point. Say, are you a 5-star car? No. Then you get 0 stars to make this move. Look at this again. Another boost, another run. 3rd and 4 for Too Busy. Trying to block more than they are. Trying to play offense. They are full defensive mode for their teammate.
Oh, and Jaume is using the side draft absolutely sensationally. He is right up against Nicholas Goebel on the straights, losing out maybe half a tenth maximum when he gets alongside and is able to steal it back. His thunder under braking is simply magnificent, and now you've got to really coordinate this attack. They are running out of laps here, and Alberto Blanco is desperate to jump up forward. Lars Fischer is doing so well. Look at Goebel. Will he go around the outside of Shevlack? He will try. It's the toughest place on the circuit to get it to do, but no, he has to fall back in rank and file.
And remember, there's no room for error because Chris Knox is refusing to tow the car. He just got it off the track, in fact. If anybody tried to pinch move in that moment, it could have been catastrophic. Now, with only a couple laps to go, the 5-star brigade is saying, this Zenith car is getting shuffled back. Let's shuffle it even more. Put on a little bit more Zenith paint.
Oh, and there's contact. That's Adnan Grozdanic, who's going to be forced off there by Ade Koba. Jack Veazey might just try and slip in and steal one too, so he'll get one as he jumps on through. Side by side behind that as well, between David Teron and Alberto Blanco, 2 Spaniards at it at the moment. Remember, of course, you've got the Nations Cup, and those drivers don't want to be taking each other out for that. But Dalmasis and Goebel will continue to be the game. 2 laps they will have when they cross the line, and Nicholas Goebel is going to make Jaume Dalmasis work for every single place he can. Pulls over, moves to the outside, looking for the race lead, and it's a preview of what you need. But still, Jaume Dalmasis, with an inch down the inside, is gonna shuffle back forward to the point.
This is going to be where you need to pinch well. Remember, we've seen draft. Whoever's in second gets alongside and possibly nearly pulls for the race lead. The pattern right now is quite well set. Damascus Torres doesn't have to fight this hard at all here, Jake. He just needs to ride. He still wants to fight this, though, and see what can be tested upon, especially with the middle part of the track up towards that middle sector corner complex being solid at least to get there.
Look, he is trying to be as much of a nuisance for these drivers in 5-star as possible. Still side by side through the middle, now trying to go up and under. He knows he's gone to the Valle Rossi School of Driving. Attack at the first opportunity. And look at what it's getting everyone into. Ade Koba's getting into the mix now in P5. Suddenly, there is a lot more out there, and a big slide from Jaime Dalmases. Suddenly, Nicholas Goebel gets himself 3/10, and all of a sudden, there might be a look from Jason Cooper if he wants to get through. This is sensational stuff.
And that's it again. Coba Lopez a little tight. Another slide from Cooper here in the midst of all this. Cooper's burning up all his stuff here in all this. This is exactly what the 5-star machine wanted to see for up front. White flag lap. Damascus Torres just needed to be a calm lap to be able to set up to battle back for the lead. It's anything but calm. It's been a 5-star Hornet's Nest.
It certainly has. Nicholas Goebel now needs to defend it here with everything he's got. But here comes Jason Cooper trying to get to the aid here. A knight in shining armor as he gets through Tarzan. And there's contact. And the two who fought for the title last season take each other out of the podium, out of the top 5 to 10th and 11th. It's now Goebel versus Koba now for second. And Ade Koba, who has been bottled up all race long, has the greatest chance all this time to go and prove why he is El Capitan Fantastico. It's still, though, a long shot against Goebel. Lars Fischer finds himself on the podium, which he's seldom done. He has been Mr. 4th, 5th and 6th in this series so often. Veazey up in 4th, Grosdanic in 5th, but Nicholas Goebel rushing about through the consecutive right knows that there is one great place left, and he's got a gap. There is Ade Koba, and he realizes now that he's got to throw everything he's got at it if he wants to get through on him and him alone. That Mr. Nicholas Goebel, who has been so clinical here today. Podium not out of the question yet. There's Jack Veazey. He wants it on the outside. He tries to find a move, but it's not quite there. And still, with a couple corners left, you get the sense that there is still that slipstream run, which could be oh so vital. Ade set it up. Nicholas Goebel will think he's safe, but it's all about here. It's all about Arie Luyendyk and what Nicholas Goebel has been able to do. He has been, simply put, Mr. Clinical. Nobody could put a candle in a wind today. Goebel with 5-star takes it at Zandvoort.
Nicely done pace, nicely done run, and a gut punch if you are Damascus Torres here, to say the very least. But what a finish, and some rivalries starting to get rekindled, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. That was huge. Jaime Dalmases knows that a victory has slipped from his grasp. They're still battling right to the end with the likes of Philip Scriffignano and Trevor Roy going for it for 24th position and as many points they can get their hands on. Trevor Roy absolutely wants this if he wants to try and slip into the top 40 and book his place to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca by the end of 10 rounds. This is one that he absolutely must get through on the inside. But he is struggling, but you are absolutely on the point there, Justin. You look at a race like this today, and you think that the reigning champion and his main contender over the course of last season right now have just come together. Both of them will be staring daggers at each other.
Yeah, staring daggers and possibly exchanging some words at that point, maybe. At least some apologies. I'd say the situation was 50-50. But in the heat of the moment, you're thinking 100% 0. it just, you have to be able to retake a breath at that point. It was a tight squeeze in the first place. It was a window where already Torres was balancing the edge, Tomas Torres should say, and I think that came into play with the squeeze.
I think it did as well. And there is confirmation of result. Nicholas Goebel will pick up the victory, and he will win by 2/10 in the end over Ade Koba, who was just one lap too late with everything that was setting up in what was truly a wonderful race here at Zandvoort. Lars Fischer will make it 2 5-star Germans on the podium with a fantastic defensive display ahead of Jack Veazey, who threw the kitchen sink at him in the end, and Adnan Grozdanic holding the final spot inside the top 5. It would then be Alberto Blanco and Yuan Lin, and the rest of the top 10 would run down to Jaume Dalmasses in 10.
11 spots today, Jason Cooper's, that's where he ends up settling in. Shopov goes from dead last up to just outside the top 10, a great run for him. Peter Sandberg, Lincoln Fox, along with Jason Sampaio, wants those in the top 15. Nero Ferreira finishes 16th. Sebastian in 17th, and it's Singleton, Sawyer, and Bremer, your top 20.
And then over the page once more to Christian Hinch, who finds himself 21st, along with Cali Cavisto. Edward Gross would finish off in 23rd, with Philip Scriffignano just finishing ahead of Trevor Roy. Ray Lombardi would be 26th, with Jordanin Svetanov, the last finisher on the leading lap. 1 lap down for Alexandre Longo, and retirements for Chris Knox and Eugenio Pulici here today, something that they were not hoping for here at Zandvoort. We are going to get a chance, though, to talk with your race winner. Nicholas Goebel stood by with Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed, Nicholas. Talk us through the last stages of that race. Trying to play defense against a champion in this series, but also having your teammates try and figure out a way to try and get towards you as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, hello everyone. So yeah, in the last part of the race, I noticed throughout the whole race that Jaume was incredibly strong on the brakes into turn 1. So I knew I would have to defend very well there and maybe try some alternate lines. So I tried the outside line, I tried the inside line. Braking later, earlier, I was considering a cutback, but with the banking it didn't work. So in the end, I just tried everything that I could, and in the end, something worked. Of course, it was good having all my 5-star teammates right behind me, knowing that they weren't going to attack me in spots where it would hurt us all. So yeah, that was actually quite interesting for me, a lot to learn, and Jaume did it so incredibly well. So yeah, congrats to him. He also did quite a fast lap time in quali. So yeah, he had some unfortunate. I'm not sure what happened in the end. I probably have to look back at it, but yeah, I saw he done it.
So Sonoma's next on the docket. It becomes the question, that one not as draft intensive. What's going to be the mindset like for you and your teammates after the performance put on today?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think we're overthinking all of this. So probably 1 week before seeding, first one of us will do some practice lap, and then that person will let the others know what works and what doesn't. So yeah, I think it's a good community. The 5-star guys, everyone's really fast. Everyone's very helpful, and yeah, we're not digging too deep. We're just driving, having a bit of fun, and seeing what turns out of it.
Any shout-outs? Adding shout-outs, I should say, you would like to give?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about them quite a lot, so shout out to all my 5-star teammates. Really good time with all of them, and also to my dad. I was already mentioning him. And the first time when I joined you guys in the booth, I got a P2 in the initial round of the World Sim Series. But now to say thank you, Dad, we'll win. I think that's nice. He got me into racing, into sim racing as well, and yeah, I'm having a good time here. So
congratulations once again on the victory.
Right, yes.
Nicholas Goebel, strong performance to end off the day, Jake.
Yeah, he had a fantastic performance. So too did his teammate Lars Fischer, along with me right now, 3rd place overall. Now, Lars, you've been the sort of driver who has been 4th place here, 5th place there, 6th place the others. it's been a case for you that you've been a really consistent driver, but podiums have been really hard to come by for you in this series, despite how talented you are as a driver. How good is it for you to be up on that podium, knowing how hard you had to fight for it today?
Yeah, as you said, normally I'm the driver who is giving my teammates the spotlight on the podium. So just staying behind, defending from behind. Yeah, of course I was lucky with Jason and Haume came together on turn 1 on the last lap. So I luckily was in P3, but last lap was pretty hard, but also the whole race was pretty intense. And normally I'm just a chill driver, I would say. But in this race it was not possible. Action every corner, every lap, just insane. And in the end, happy to be on the podium.
For the majority of that race, there were 11 cars in that front train who all had a shot of victory or the podium here today. To be in such an esteemed category of drivers who are out there racing, giving everything every single month they go out there and race, for you to be in that front group and to see just how much talent is there, how scary is it for you as a driver knowing that one wrong mistake sends you to the back of an incredibly talented group like that?
Yeah, of course it's always scary, but in the end it's a pleasure and an honor to race up front on the lead pack with these guys. Yeah, everyone in the top 11, I think you said, in the whole race were in like 3 seconds, or not even 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Yeah, for me it's a pleasure to race with these guys for the podium every race.
And so now it turns to Sonoma in 1 month's time. That will be the next port of call. Lars, 5-Star have been certainly one of the teams out there, just like last season, to beat, and you've been a consistent member of that, trying to push it forward. Looking at Sonoma, is that a circuit where you can take quite a lot of the lessons here from Zandvoort, very similar in terms of the amount of elevation change and sort of the nature of how you've got to try and win that race? Are you just thinking that next month is just going to be a development on this month's race at Zandvoort?
I'm not sure. We will see going into the next race, practicing, and then look how it goes. I would say on all the circuits, it's currently the case that we are quite quick on pace. So yeah, we definitely look forward to be back up in front again and score a lot of points.
Well, you're definitely managing that. So the floor is yours here, Lars. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, first of all, you for broadcasting this and commentating. It's always a pleasure to watch the races back. It's very enjoyable, I would say. In the end, yeah, of course, I would thank all my teammates, Yuanchi, Chris, Jason, David, and Nicholas, of course. Yeah, it's pretty amazing with these guys practicing racing. Yeah, that makes a lot of fun, and that makes practice, when it's sometimes frustrating, still enjoyable. And yeah.
P1 falls.
No, continue.
P1 falls by the wayside. P3 does exactly the same. P4 in the championship, Lars Fischer on the podium and will be making gains here today. That was Lars Fischer joining us there for the moment, and that will bring the curtain to a close here today from Lédenon and from Zandvoort. The Simify MX5 World Sim Series will be back again next month with us here at the Global SimRacing Channel. And of course, it will be 2 fantastic events that will come into play. It will be Lime Rock Park, but not only that, it will be Sonoma Raceway as well. You do not want to miss it. Want to give a massive thanks to the team who has got everything done from us today, from Justin, from Adam, and from Dougie. You can catch all of the equipment that has helped bring this show to you, including the music which you can hear right now by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp and support good musicians if you haven't had the chance to already. There's so much racing happening with the Global Sim Racing Channel. The Vintage Series, for example, is one of them. You can find that scrolling up on top of your screen, and also follow our socials, be it X, be it Facebook, and be it Instagram as well. You can go to our website, globalsimracingchannel.com, or head over to our store Envy page where you can get the latest GSRC merchandise. Until though, next time when it comes to amazing racing, and that will be next month with us, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you at both Lime Rock and, crucially, at Sonoma.